Yo, good day, and welcome to another episode of the RoadFS podcast. We're running a little bit late because this Yahoo wasn't getting things together properly. So we are live. As you can see, the invisible Rob Pusey is not here. He is actually on site with a new customer, training them, getting them all rolled out. And so I'm left to man the ship. So it's going to be a fun episode. I'm super excited because um, one of the guys that I have mad respect for in the industry, who it's been super fun to watch his growth, is our guest Ryan Griggs from Blue Line Detailing. How you doing, brother?
I am good. I am. I'm a lot less stressed than people think I should be.
Well, why do people think you should be stressed? I mean, it's not like you owned a new shop or something.
Yeah, I didn't, just move randomly and shut down for 3 weeks and just completely restart the business or nothing.
So how did you shut down for 3 weeks? I mean, most small businesses, if they're shut down for a week, they're puckering, right? So how did you decide to shut down, open a new shop, and start from scratch?
So the move was not intended to be as fast as it was. Um, so we used some of the investment money to not only cover the security deposit and first month's rent, things like that, but it also covered my payroll. Um, if I had more employees, it probably would have been a lot more detrimental to be shut down like that. Um, but my clients fully understood. I'm booked out another 3 weeks now, and we're back rolling, and honestly heavier than I ever have been because now I'm booking tint, PPF, ceramic coatings, and auto detailing all at the same time.
Wow, that's super cool. So let's talk about that. I mean, you're expanding. You're not only moving your business, but you're expanding your service offerings. I mean, that's a lot to take on
It is.
all at once. So how did you position yourself in a way to do this? Because I think a lot of guys are looking outside looking in. They're like, man, that's what I'd really like to do, but I'm still struggling in phase one of my business, let alone where you are down the road.
My first thing is I know my shop rate. So everything for the entire month is calculated out. It's divided by how many days I work, hours I work, the whole 9 yards. And I know what it costs for me to have that car in here every hour. So
That's
my
good.
pricing is all reflective of that. Um, I felt really comfortable with paint correction and ceramics, um, with the auto detailing kind of side of things. And so I'm not taking it for granted adding on services. I'm actually getting trained. So I went down to the Detroit Tint Studio. I was trained with a gentleman named Matt, and that dude kills it. That is one of the best trainings I've ever been to. Anybody ever looking for a tint training in Michigan, Ohio, or anywhere, 313 Tint at the Detroit Tint Studio is amazing. Matt he's already worked with GeoShield, and he's now a part of Optical's new YouTube page. So I mean, the guy is just out of this world right now. And then I'm going to train with Optical for PPF. So Jesus and I have been really good in communication, and these are skills that I need to learn. I'm not a master of them yet. I don't know that I ever want to be a master of anything. I always want to be learning, but you know, I don't take it for granted that tinting the windows behind me is not something I've always done. So, you know, the plotter sitting next to me, and I got a peel board over here, and I got hexagon lights now, and it's. I made a shop. I made my dream shop.
So let's talk about that, right? I think a lot of guys are really excited. They start their business, they get moving, and they have a dream of where they're wanting to go. And sometimes they feel like it's just out of reach, right? So, what was kind of that journey from you going from when you started to getting to this point that you now have your dream shop?
I started in the back of or with a pickup truck and mobile. with a Harbor Freight polisher doing headlight restoration and nasty interiors. And not for nothing, I'd still do those. They're humbling, and I think they kind of remind you where we came from. Not everything was always a BMW or a Maserati. It's never always been that way. Um, I've always surrounded myself with people who where I want to go. So when I first started doing this, I trained with chemical guys with Garrett, who owns the 2 detail garages here in Michigan, and the guy's incredible. Now he's a friend, um, and I worked my way up. And now I've trained with people like Sarah, trained at the SEMA garage. I didn't take MTE for granted when I went the first time. I was rubbing elbows with everybody, um, being a part of different industry communities like the IDA, the Roundtable, things like that. I've just surrounded myself with all the right people and networked with the right people that I'm learning and just absorbing like a sponge.
I think I love that you hinted or you touched on the fact of putting yourselves in the right circles, right? Because I think a lot of times we are limited by our current circle. And sometimes you got to expand that circle to see really what is possible. And sometimes when you're actually all the time, when you expand that circle, new opportunities, new doors open that you never thought were possible. And it expands your vision as to what you can be as a business owner, but what you can also offer your customers.
So as I grow, I mean, I've made these new relationships with tinters and PPF guys, um, and they're great. But the idea is not for me to always be a technician, you know, and not for nothing. I kind of look at people like Dustin Jackson and Grant Menard, and I look at these guys going, I want that. And that's where my mindset is at now. I don't want to always be the one with the vacuum in the hand. I just don't. I want to have a very successful shop and a successful business where I can employ people and they take care of their families the same way this business is taking care of me. And if that means that they go off and they open up their own shops and they do incredible work, then by all means. But for me, I don't always want to be with the polisher in my hand.
Yeah. So do you have employees now?
I don't.
And so what's that look like coming up 2024, 2025?
I would say I'm going to hire a tinter first, things like that. We are looking at sales. So there's that side of it. And then, not for nothing, I'm not taking my detailer or my roadmap website for granted. I'm using everything that Chris pulls out of his hat. I mean, from the instant quote tool to window tinting to PPF, and my sales are jumping. So as I'm listening to him and I'm using the site the way it's meant to be used, or I'm using Google the way it's meant to be used, I mean, the calls are just incredible.
That's awesome.
I've had a half dozen calls this morning, and almost every one of them has been a sure shot lead.
Wow. So, and you attribute that directly to the tools that Detailer's Roadmap gives you for your business.
Well, yeah, that and listening to different podcasts. So if I listen to Road FS and I hear Tate and Trout or I hear Timothy Mills, they're doing something and it's working. Why am I not trying it?
Yeah.
These guys it's working for these guys, and I don't take it for granted that, little grassroots marketing never hurts. So when we're done here, I plan on grabbing some business cards. I'm surrounded by businesses. I'm going to go introduce myself, hand out some business cards, some 10% off discounts because we're doing 10% off the rest of the year just to kind of introduce ourselves to the area. And I'm going to go shake hands because I think it works. If it doesn't work for some other people, great. But I know it works in this area.
Yeah. I love that because I think a lot of times there's a couple things that you hit on there. You talk about wanting to really be a business owner and not have your hand in a polisher all the time, right? And that's kind of the evolution of a true entrepreneur where the shop or the business is taking care of itself. I mean, the last 2 weeks, I've actually been out of the office. So first of all, shout out to Rod and my entire team, because this was the first time in my entire life when I've been able to take, you know, 10 days off, right? And was able to go to the Paris Olympics and watch my niece play for the bronze medal at the rugby. Yes, it was
I
fantastic.
loved it.
And then I was able to spend a week with my wife in Greece to celebrate our anniversary. The only time that I thought about work was when I was on the plane on both ends, because I'm like, look, I got time. I got 10 hours. So, I created new intros and stuff for our podcast, did other things. And then one day in the middle where Rod and I had to do invoicing and payroll. Other than that, I was able to actually leave the business and enjoy the time. And I was thinking about that on the way back. I was like, man, what a blessing to be able to have built our business to a point where I have such a great team that work with me side by side, and we can do that. Right. And I know, like, in November, we're going to Holland for the detailing summit over there with Richard Hutchins. Rod is actually going to stay a week and be able to enjoy Holland with his wife and his brother-in-law. And so it's nice to get to that point in your business where your business is an engine, right? I mean, you still have to tweak it and work and stuff, but the goal, like you said, is to get to a point where you're managing the business. Business isn't managing you.
I've never minded going on vacation and having to take that phone call because I knew I was growing this business. And I know that that's not going to stop. I took a phone call, or I got a lead that came in at 7:45 last night. I was sitting there making dinner for my entire family, and I called the guy. Because if I don't within that first 15 minutes, I'm potentially going to lose it.
Sure.
So, and I'm still growing, and I'm not done yet. I don't have somebody else to take those calls. And while I need to get something else set up that responds to those calls or those text messages that I can't answer right away, that's something on my personal roadmap that I am establishing.
Yeah.
So I created a 5-year plan for the business. I'm ahead of it. I didn't mean to be. It wasn't supposed to be, but here we are. And it wasn't cheap to do it. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't cheap to do it. If I didn't have the investor I have to support me and my wife's massive support, because this was a huge financial risk, we're somewhere around $43,000 to do this. And that's no joke. That's between trainings, equipment, products, and just building all this out. I mean, we're still building out upstairs for friends of mine to have a business because I've been supported so much with such low rent that now I want to support someone else. And then, not to let the cat too much out of the bag, we're opening up something up there that they dubbed, and we're calling it Blue Line Academy. So the idea is that Blue Line Academy will be a rentable or usable space for other professionals, not me, to use the space as a classroom setting, and then down here as their hands-on area.
That's awesome.
I want nothing to do as far as the training goes, unless it's roundtable related. But yeah, I want a quality training space for this industry, whether it be tint, PPF, or detailing. I think we're all missing that aspect of it. And I've had some incredible trainings, and I just want to give that back.
I love that.
And then if Mike Rines is still on, I guess I'll let the cat out of the bag. But I have the agreement in my email. I'm just trying to figure out how to sign it. But Blue Line will be selling car candy.
Yes, that's
as a distributor.
awesome.
So, yes, car candy will be our aftercare product. It will be what we sell. And then, Mike and I have talked. He'll come up here and we'll go over a lot of things. And, maybe sell to some dealerships in the area. And that'll be another thing I do.
Yeah, car candy, man, they have just exploded, under the leadership of Megan and the owner. I mean, they're a phenomenal team. They have fun branding, they have great products. In fact, Mike Ryan sent me a little care package that me and my son are going to go and test some of their marine stuff.
Boat candy is some good stuff.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. We were actually opening that up and talking about it, and so yeah, it's we'll see where that goes. But yeah, and I love that it's interesting because I'm reflecting on my comments and your comments, right? And Rod and I are we're always available, right? I mean, usually, I mean, somebody calls me because I have customers across the globe, right? So people call me at 8 or 9 o'clock, and I know that I'll pick up, right? But it's also getting to that point where I don't have to, right? It's like, and I think a lot of businesses, especially when you're growing, you feel like you're tethered, right? And there's a price to be paid to get to the point where you don't have to do that. You can opt to do that. And that makes there's a lot of power in being able to grow your business to the point where you can opt to do things and you can select the kind of services and opportunities that you want to take. It's very freeing when you get to that point. But also, it's kind of fun to have those crappy cars come in and remind you where you started, right?
I think I think if you get, in a comfort zone, I think they're good to have. And you don't got to rip people off to do those cars. You just make your rate and move on. I mean, but Mike Ryan's just a great guy. I mean, that comment alone. I mean, I know he's watching, and he's a busy guy, and he's a dad, and we've had those conversations. You and I have had those conversations. I'm just surrounded with some just incredible people, but and I gotta, I'll get emotional talking about her, but I could not do this without my wife. Hands down, could not do it without my wife. She supports me 110%. This dream is nuts. It's nuts. This industry's crazy. It does this all the time. So expanding out into other areas, I'm trying to get that more of a plateau of I don't have the up and down because there's detailers all over this country right now struggling. And I'm over here dumping over 40 grand into mine. I'm not taking that for granted.
Yeah.
All that money has to be paid back. It's not just, it's gone. But that investment, I mean, there's people trusting me that they know I'm good enough to do this, that I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
When I considered, shutting down and being done, I mean, there was dozens of people telling me, you got this. And I wasn't sure. I mean, this just wasn't on the roadmap this early. Somebody's saying Blue Line Academy, and they're joking, but my head would it zipped right over when they said it. And I'm like, that's a great idea. Because I've always loved my trainings. I always have. And there has to be some classroom stuff because I think you need to understand the science of what you're doing because there's science to these chemicals, there's science to these ceramics and how the pads are used and how to clean those pads. And I think there's science now to all this tint and the solutions they use and the PPF, and it's different. And none of this all is the same. So you can't think of it that way. And then to have a space where I can fit 2-3 cars or a boat or two in here, and someone can now get hands-on and use machines that I have, and we can have a real hands-on training, that's incredible to me. And he's just looking for brownie points now.
Well, I want to touch on something that you mentioned. I think every small business owner at some point in their growth debates very heavily whether or not they're going to just close the doors and go back to work for somebody else and just say, you know what, I tried and that's good. I mean, Rod and I and we have two other partners, they're his brother-in-laws and my friends. And the first 3 years of our business, dude, it was brutal. I wasn't sure if we were going to make it. I mean, the first year, Rod and I did not take a paycheck literally for 9 months, right? We poured everything into it. And I remember the third year of our business, we had a customer go really south on us, and it left us with a huge, I mean, a 6-figure huge hole, right? And I remember just being frustrated, kind of down. I wasn't sure what to do. And man, I remember one night, man, I was not sleeping. And I was tossing and turning, and I woke up, and I just rolled out of bed, and I just fell to my knees, and I poured my heart out, and then I fell to the ground in the fetal position and just cried. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And once I got it all out, I'm like, all right, you got it all out. Now, what are you going to do? And so I'm like, all right, what are the 3 things that I can tackle today? And so I got up, I went to work, and I'm like, all right, what 3 things? And I did those 3 things, and I did that. That was my strategy for the next year of building out. What are the 3 most important things? And if I got done with those 3 most important things, then I'm like, all right, what are the next 3? Right. And those little steps every single day of fighting and clawing and just pushing through it got us to this point where next month, September, is our 15th year anniversary, right? But it came with blood, sweat, tears, and support from amazing wives. I mean, you talk about your wife. I mean, we could not have done it without our wives. And so kudos to their belief and confidence and encouragement in us. And it was absolutely and it still is a journey. I mean, we're still learning and growing, and there are dips and there's no highs, and you just kind of got to work through them, and you learn something not only about the business, but you learn something about you. What can you really do? What can you really become? And when you embrace a journey, all of a sudden opportunities come up that you never imagined would be possible.
I've kind of taken a new motto. It's the obstacle in front of you can become the opportunity you create it to be. And I mean, this was a huge obstacle. So whatever I'm going to do with it, I got to do with it. I mean, I have a restaurant background. I know customer service. I know this industry pretty well. I don't think I'm the leader or what a lot of people may think I am in this industry. I don't think of myself that way. I still will always look up to guys like Billy Smith, um, yourself, Dustin Jackson and Mike Carlin. I mean, Dustin Jackson and Mike Carlin made one of the biggest moves that I've ever
Yes.
seen in this industry. And that's incredible for them. And those are friends of mine. They were doing an Aegis training at the other shop. They couldn't say anything. Joel is there. It's probably the last time I'm ever going to see Joel DePalm. He makes
Other
sure
than
he's
golfing on Facebook.
right. And he's being really good about everything and really nice and still being encouraging. And he still encourages IGL. And it's really who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
It really is. I like Mike Marine Care. I've never met Mike. I haven't. But he just opened up his own shop, and yeah, I've done it 4 times since April. I usually do it 4 times before April. Um, so my wife will attest. I've thrown my hands up in the air when things get hard, and I'm like, "Is this for me?" Well, now I have a 5-year lease. It's for me.
5 years for sure.
So, but I was smart even in that. When the lease contract was written, originally it didn't have subleasing in it. So I have 3 offices behind me with their own waiting area and their own reception area and a bathroom. I can sublease that. It's in my contract.
That's awesome.
So from a business standpoint, I had to look at it that way because I don't need that.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
that's cool. That is, well, we are super excited when the Blue Line Academy has one of their training events. We would love to come be a part of that.
we
It's
got to
it,
get the kid out here.
yeah. So where are you, and how do people connect with you?
So we are now located at 4017 Baldwin Road, Holly, Michigan, 48442. The number is on the screen. Definitely use the website. We have the new instant quote tools for PPF and tint. The window tint section will be up hopefully by the end of the week, and we're just growing.
That's awesome. Well, we're super excited for you. Rod told me to send you his congratulations. I almost said condolences, but I think it's a little bit of both. But
Lack of sleep. So yeah.
so yeah, and Rod and I, we've been actually hunting for a building for ourselves, and we just haven't been able to find the right one. And
I got
it's
three. I got three offices.
yeah, but I don't want to move to Michigan. So yeah, no.
Come on, we change our weather every other day.
Well, that's Idaho. That's a problem. I want to get somewhere where it's above 60 and never cold again. So, but anyway, well, that's cool, man. So, kind of in wrap up, if there were, if you were talking to yourself 5 years ago, or to other guys that were just starting out, what advice would you give them?
Don't give up. And it is about who you surround yourself with. This industry is full of a lot of great people. Don't let the Facebook group keyboard warrior decide how you run your business. There are some really incredible men and women in this industry, and I wouldn't even think of car candy if it wasn't for Megan or Mike or anything like that. It's the people and the product that I'm willing to endorse. It's not just the product. That
Yeah.
you and Jody or you and Rod are just perfect examples of that. I personally do not use your software, but you are industry leaders in my eyes, and you are helping so many, and you do it without thinking of the dollar sign for yourself. You want to give back to this industry. You want to help grow it. I've seen what you've done for, the detail kid. I love him, you know,
One of my favorite people.
and he's growing up in an industry, and he's a perfect example of what this industry is going to be. We're already creating the guys that are supposed to be replacing us.
Yeah. No,
You
that's
know,
good.
I can't be some of these other guys. I have to be me. So be genuine to you. Do what you love. And if it's not tinting, don't do it. If it's not PPF, don't do it. Don't chase the dollar. Chase your passion.
I love that. That is absolutely great advice. Well, thank you so much. Man, it's been a great conversation. We're super, like I said, super excited for you and this new opportunity. You got 5 years to build to the next level, and then it'll be fun to see what happens at the end of five, right? So
I got 3 weeks before I have my open house. So
that's cool. That's super cool. You have to send us the details on the open house. That's super awesome. So, and you guys that are tapping in, thank you so much for tapping into our podcast. It's been really fun. Rod and I, we've had a lot of growth this year, both in podcast viewers, time watched. And really, we started out with, I mean, you hinted on it. We wanted to highlight different people's stories so that you could pick and choose those things that would help you in your business. And shout out to Timothy Mills and the others that are just getting creative and they're trying to find new things. And it's just fun. And it's, yes, go ahead.
while I have you, anybody watching, check out Detailers of the Round Table. If you are on the west side of this country or wherever, Tate and Trout has an incredible training coming up.
Yes.
If not, there is a massive giveaway. Go like it, share it, and leave a comment and get entered to win.
Yep. So
That
that
drawing is actually the day of my open house.
Oh, that's cool. So, yes, it is September 5th, 6th, and 7th, just outside of Denver. A short hour and a half drive. And Rod and I will be there. It's going to be super fun. Dude, we have so many things going on. We have Tate and Trout's event that we're going to be leaving on Friday night to go to a Budco event in Salt Lake. And then we're in Houston for the leather repair company training for 3 days. Then we're at the ADA training with Josh Hernandez. So, yeah, we're going to be everywhere again. And it's just fun to be a part of the industry and try to help grow and create opportunities and share experiences that people can learn from. So thank you for being a supporter. We appreciate you and wish you guys the very best of luck in this new endeavor. Love and appreciation to that beautiful wife of yours, and wish you guys much success. So,
Thanks, Jody.
yep. Well, the rest of you guys, thank you so much for dropping in. We will be on the podcast next week. My guest, I'm actually having to move, so I'm not sure who that is going to be yet. But yes, we're also going to be on the road. So look for us anywhere and everywhere. So, well, you guys have a great day, and we will check you same time, same bat channel just next week. See ya.